When you're staring at a laptop that promises AI-ready, a 4K OLED screen, and a desktop-class graphics card, the first question that pops up is, will all that power actually translate into something I can use day to day, or am I just paying for bragging rights? I've been in the same spot many times, seeing a glossy spec sheet, wondering if the price tag is justified, and worrying that I might end up with a machine that looks amazing on paper but feels like a mismatch for my workflow. In this review, I'm going to break down the Dell XPS 162025 the way a real buyer would need to see it, what it does well, where it falls short, and whether it's worth the investment for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the XPS 16 is positioned as an AI laptop, which basically means Dell has stuffed it with a 16-core Intel Ultra 9 processor and a 64GB LPDDR5X memory kit. For anyone who lives in the world of large language model prompts, 3D rendering, or heavy multitasking, that kind of CPU muscle can shave minutes off compile times and keep dozens of browser tabs, design tools, and a virtual machine open without the dreaded lag. I ran a quick test by opening Photoshop, a couple of Chrome windows with dozens of tabs, and Visual Studio Code, then launched a local Stable Diffusion inference. The system handled the load without stuttering, and the RTX 5070 GPU kept the UI responsive while the GPU accelerated the diffusion model. That's a concrete example of where the AI-ready claim isn't just marketing fluff, it actually helps when you're doing creative work that leans on GPU-based inference. Now, let's talk about the display. A 16.3-inch 4K OLED touchscreen is a rare find in a laptop that also houses a high-end GPU. The colors are punchy, the blacks are true, and the touch layer feels responsive enough for quick sketches. If you spend a lot of time color grading video or need precise visual fidelity for photo editing, the OLED panel is a genuine productivity boost. On the flip side, OLED at 4K draws a fair amount of power, so when you push the screen to full brightness for a few hours, the battery life drops to roughly 5 hours under mixed usage. That's a trade-off you need to weigh. Do you need the absolute best image quality, or would a slightly lower resolution LCD give you a longer unplugged day? The answer depends on whether you're a visual professional versus a gamer who mostly plays in dimly lit rooms. Speaking of gaming, the RTX 5070 with GDDR7 memory is a step up from the more common RTX 4060L variants you see in many ultrabooks. In a recent session of Cyberpunk 2077 at medium-high settings, the laptop maintained a steady 58 frames per second at 1440p, and it managed to stay under 90°C on the CPU side thanks to Dell's vapor chamber cooling. The cooling system is noisy only when the GPU hits sustained loads, think long rendering sessions or marathon gaming nights. If you're looking for a laptop that can double as a casual gaming rig without sacrificing the professional aesthetic, this GPU does the job, but don't expect silent operation during intense frames. The 2TB SSD is fast enough for anyone who works with large media libraries. Loading a 50GB video project in DaVinci Resolve took under 10 seconds, and the system's PCIe 4.0 interface keeps data transfer speeds brisk. However, the storage is not user upgradable because Dell has soldered the drive onto the motherboard to keep the chassis slim. If you anticipate needing more than 2 TB down the line, you'll have to rely on external Thunderbolt 4 drives, which the laptop supports without issue. That's a practical limitation that can catch people off guard if they assume a typical laptop upgrade path. Port selection is generous for a 16-inch machine, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an HDMI 2.1, a full-size SD card slot, and a headphone jack. I found the Thunderbolt ports especially handy when I connected a 27-inch 4K monitor for a dual-screen setup. The laptop handled the external display at 4K 60Hz with no visible latency, making it a decent desktop replacement when you're at a desk. The SD slot saved me a trip to my camera bag when I needed to pull raw files quickly. If you're used to a laptop that only offers USB-C and a headphone jack, the extra ports add real convenience without needing a dongle hub. On the software side, the machine ships with Windows 11 Home. That's fine for most users, But power users who rely on Windows 10's legacy settings or need a Pro Edition for BitLocker might feel a little shortchanged. Upgrading to Windows 11 Pro is a separate cost, so keep that in mind if your workflow depends on enterprise features. Now, who should actually consider buying this machine? If you are a content creator who does a mix of video editing, 3D modeling, and occasional AI-assisted workflows, the combination of a top-tier CPU, a high-end GPU, and a color-accurate OLED screen gives you a single device that can replace both a workstation and a portable studio. The laptop also makes sense for developers who compile,